From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm David Forrest reporting a security measure clears Capitol Hill. The U.S. Congress completed action Tuesday to end the government's collection of telephone call data and to turn the task over to American telephone companies. The Senate voted 67 to 32 in favor of the legislation already approved by the House and sending it directly to President Obama for his signature. World Football Federation President Sepp Blatter resigned Tuesday. Amid an unfolding corruption scandal, Blatter was reelected to a fifth term as president just 4 days ago. He ordered an extraordinary Congress of the Football Federation to choose a new president, and he said he will retain his presidential powers until then. The acting director of U.S. airport security has been removed from his job after undercover agents succeeded in carrying fake explosives and weapons through security checkpoints 67 out of 70 times in recent tests. Homeland Security Chief Jay Johnson said he has reassigned the airport security official to another position within the Department of Homeland Security. Johnson named a new interim TSA chief. It's a current acting deputy director, Mark Hatfield. Boko Haram militants Tuesday attacked the Nigerian city of Maiduguri. The city is slated to host a new base of operations aimed at defeating the Islamist group. Reports from the city say fighters used rocket-propelled grenades in the attack, but were unable to advance beyond the city limits. Later, a suicide bomber attacked a cattle market. Initial reports said up to 20 people were killed in the explosion. This is VOA News. In Burundi's capital, protesters took to the streets again against President Pierre Nkurunziza's decision to run for a third term. Emily Ayab reports.
Scenes of unrest resume on Tuesday morning in Burundi's capital city, Bujumbura. Police used tear gas and live bullets to disband groups of protesters in several neighborhoods of the city. The protesters opposed President Pierre Nkurunziza's decision to seek a third term in office. The renewed violence comes after East African leaders urged the government to delay the elections planned this month, but the protesters say that the summit did not address what they asked for, that President Nkurunziza not seek a third term. Emily Yob for VOA News in Bujumbura.
Rescue crews in central China continued to search for survivors of a passenger ship that sank during a storm on the Yangtze River. The Xinhua news agency says only 14 of the 450 people aboard have been rescued. The U.S. State Department says senior U.S. officials met in Oman last week with representatives of the Houthi rebel movement that has overrun Yemen. The Wall Street Journal first reported Tuesday that Houthis held talks with Assistant Secretary of State Ann Patterson. The former ambassador traveled to Saudi Arabia and Oman recently to try to encourage the parties involved in the conflict to negotiate. The Syrian government is locked in a struggle with rebel militia groups in and around the country's largest city, Aleppo, in some of the most bitter fighting since the four-year-old uprising began in 2011. Edward Uranian reports.
Residents in the town of Tel Rifat struggled to dig friends and neighbors from under the rubble after a Syrian government warplane dropped a barrel bomb over a block of flats. Intense government airstrikes were reported over the Aleppo region during the past 72 hours. Other strikes were reported over the rebel-held region of Idlib. Amateur video also showed Syrian rebel fighters rushing men and armed pickup trucks to defend positions north of Aleppo from the Islamic State militants who are attempting to encroach on their territory. Edward Uranian, Cairo.
4 people were killed when a helicopter chartered by the aid group Doctors Without Borders crashed in northeastern Nepal Tuesday. The bodies of 3 men and a woman were recovered. The Associated Press says the FBI is operating a small air force with scores of low-flying planes across the country using video and sometimes cell phone surveillance technology. It says the planes are listed as being from bogus companies that are actually fronts for the government. From the VOA News Center in Washington, I'm Dave DeForest.
That's the latest world news from VOA.